This is the Volvo EX30, and once upon a time, it was supposed to be a really big deal. It was going to be something that we had long been promised by the car industry, an affordable electric car. $35,000 to get a lot of range, power, and Scandinavian style. I got so excited about it, I was going to buy one. I plunked down $500 of my own money for a refundable deposit because I was so interested in this thing. But there was only one problem with the EX30. In order to meet that price tag, it had to be built in China. The US government has been cracking down on Chinese-made cars, especially Chinese-made EVs, for years now. They're worried about all kinds of things like protecting our auto industry and national security. So a few months after it was announced to tremendous fanfare and excitement, then President Joe Biden hit Chinese-made EVs like this one with 100% tariffs, and it got delayed. And a few months later, President Trump hit it with even more tariffs. Damn thing just can't get you a break. So now, after all that, the Volvo EX30 is finally here, on sale in America. But thanks to those tariffs, the one you see here, it now costs about $49,000. That's a lot more than the price we were sold on. So is the car worth it after all that? Let's find out. As you can tell, the EX30 is a pretty compact car. It only goes up to about here on me. I'm 5'11". It's smaller in person than it looks in photos. You know, they call it a crossover, but really it's like a tall hatchback. I don't necessarily mean that as a bad thing because I like smaller cars. And there's a lot of ways that like the overall footprint of it and how maneuverable it is in traffic reminds me of my old Mini Cooper, which was a car I really enjoyed. And it's rare to have truly small EVs in America. They've got this cool like light bar vertically here, and it goes around this way, LED style. I mean, it's cute. It's real cute. I love that it comes in yellow too. And there's also kind of this sort of like pale blue option as well. So it comes in fun colors. I think this is the one to get. We've got the flat range optimized wheels that are common on so many EVs now, Thor's hammer Volvo headlights. And I love just this flat front end that has obviously no grille opening because there's no engine to cool off. And it's really sleek and minimalist. And I think that's a great design. And I think it carries that design a little bit better than like the Volvo EX90 does. It's big brother, which is like the flagship electric SUV from Volvo. It gives European city car vibes, and like that's such a thing that we don't really see too much in America overall. So like, you know, kudos to them for bringing like a truly small car to the United States. But does that compact size come at the expense of practicality and cargo space? Now let's take a look. It's a very discreet little button right there. Yeah, so it's not too bad back here. You get 11 cubic feet of cargo space with the seats up and about 30 cubic feet with them down total. I tend to think this thing is like a Tesla by way of IKEA. On the IKEA side, there's kind of all these cute little Easter egg touches here. Look at this. It's like this will it fit? And it's got this list of all these things that are sort of confirmed to fit in the EX30. I don't know about all at once, but you could maybe try. Depends on how big that lamp is, right? But this is fun, this is cute. It's not taking itself too seriously. I love that. All right, let's take a tour of the interior because that's a big part of why this car is the way it is. Credit to the EX30 because it makes extensive use of recycled materials throughout the entire cabin. Volvo, like its corporate cousin Polestar, put a really big emphasis on sustainability for this car. So if you're buying an EV with environmental reasons in mind, know that a lot of this stuff used to be plastic sitting at the bottom of the ocean and stuff like that. I like looking at these sort of like cloth seats better than I like sitting in them. It's a nice material, but it's definitely not the softest or most comfortable Volvo seat I've ever been in, certainly. And that's kind of the start of our concerns here. Like, look at the door card. You've got this, again, recycled plastic material here, but you'll notice there's no buttons over here too. Here's our steering wheel. I have two toggles on either side. My wiper functions front and rear right there, and I trigger my lights. And then this toggle is for, you know, selecting a gear, and you push that all the way down to turn on cruise control or automated driving assistance. And that's all you get in terms of control. So then a small cluster of buttons on the steering wheel. There is no front display in front of the driver. Again, that makes it cheaper to make. It's a weird feeling to not have that right in front of you. Again, you know, Tesla's been doing that for a long time now, so lots of people are used to it. I find it a little odd in this car, especially at night. It just feels kind of dark across the dashboard. I don't really know what I'm looking at. I've got the sensor right here that tracks my eyes to make sure I'm paying attention, but it's a super minimalist cabin otherwise. Lots of clever storage options though, again, with the IKEA vibe. So I've got this this little thing down here with some plugs. I've got my sleeve where the cell phones can go for wireless charging, and then check this guy out right here. If I want cup holders, I push this out. Oh, isn't that fun? And then it'll sort of do a half measure cup holder like that too. Do that and you've sort of maximized your interior space. But other than that, it's like a big slab of plastic. There's this kind of irritating function right here where if I want to put the windows down, here are my switches. Okay, there we go, that's fine. But if I want to put the back ones down, I have to hit rear and then push it down. Lock button, unlock button. And that's really it in terms of touch points. Everything's on the screen. You want to do your climate controls, you do it all here. Other Volvos work this way too. I'm not a huge fan, but some of them have more physical controls as well. But if you kind of want to do anything, it's all buried in these menus here. Let's see, controls, locking, wipers, all that stuff. Fog lights, you have to go to controls and then view all if you want your full set of lights and displays. And if you want to put gloves, your driving gloves, in your glove box, it's also a button on the screen. Oh, there it goes. Glove box, isn't that fun? Oh, also, if you want to open the trunk in this car too, you have to press that and hold it down as well. There's no physical trunk release button. And I don't think it's too bad. It's easy enough to figure out where all this stuff is. It's all buried on the screen. So again, forget physical controls, but like it's kind of a pain to do this stuff when you're driving. You can open up the Google Play Store and figure out what apps we want to download. We have Waze, ChargePoint, that's kind of cool. Download ChargePoint for sure. There are a lot of car companies that have experimented with app stores and haven't really gotten it right yet, but by working directly with Google Play, Volvo's got this pretty turnkey, so I'll give them credit for that. Yeah, this is pretty good in terms of charger finding, because again, it's a Google-based system, and so I hit that lightning bolt on the nav system, and it brings up everything that's around me and how many ports there are. Oh, there is one physical switch inside and opens the frunk. Let's see what our frunk situation's like. Okay, that's not much of a frunk. That's, you could maybe fit some cigars in there or one of your portable chargers or something, but yeah, not blown away for, you know, a purpose-built ground-up EV. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little tight back here. And, you know, normally I don't care for these panoramic glass roofs that are just ubiquitous on modern EVs. I don't like them on any car because I just inevitably bake when I have one. And when I bought my EV, like I purposely didn't get it with that roof. But I will say it does help the cabin feel a little bit airier than it would otherwise. This is a pretty compact car. Like it could feel kind of claustrophobic without that. And I will tell you, again, I'm 5'11". I have my seat optimized comfortably for me. My knees are touching the seat. You could sit back here as a grown-up adult, but like, I don't think you'd be super comfortable in it for long. So I think that this car tends to be ideal for singles or young couples or maybe small families. Also, more minimalism. We've got our window switches here, and we've got some plugs right there too. Oh, and this little thing comes out. I remember this thing from when it launched. Isn't that fun? There's like a moose, you know, because it's from Sweden, right? It's got these fun little graphics all over it. Again, all these fun little touches. And this is removable on purpose. It's like a trash bin. You throw your stuff in it, grab this, and then dump it wherever, which I think is really clever. So again, minimal buttons, everything centralized through the screen. Maybe you get used to it, maybe you don't. But when I first saw this thing, I thought it was really clever how they did this, but actually living with this day to day, not having a display in front of me, having so much routed through a screen, is that an ideal driving experience? Is that what I want to live with day to day? And like, they cut a lot of costs to get this thing to its theoretical $35,000 price tag and still be an electric car. But does that translate into being a better car? Does that translate to a better user experience for the driver, the passengers? I'm not so sure it does. There is no on or off button on the EX30. A lot of EVs work that way. This is one of those too, and that kind of tripped me up at first. To turn it off, you walk away from the car or just lock it, and to turn it on, you walk up to it and sit down. That takes some getting used to, and even then, here's the key. Look at that. There's no buttons. If you looked at that and you're like, what the hell is this and how does it work? Congratulations, I had the exact same reaction, but it took me about a day, but I figured it out. It's important to know that that $35,000 price tag was for the single motor version of this car. That's the one I was going to buy. That's not what we're in today. Because Volvo had to eat a bunch of tariffs on this car, for now, the only one for sale in America is this one, the twin motor performance version, top of the range. That one starts at $46,195. And as tested, we're at $48,395. Ouch. The single motor rear wheel drive version of this car gets 272 horsepower and 275 miles of driving range. That's not too bad for the price, but the twin motor version that we are in adds a lot more performance. You get 422 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque from a 69 kilowatt hour battery. Fast charging is just okay at 153 kilowatts, but supposedly that will do 10 to 80% in about 27 minutes. Not too bad overall. Range on this twin motor Volvo EX30 is rated at 253 miles, and the supposedly forthcoming single motor version is a little bit better at 275 miles. Neither are going to blow you away, but again, for the price, that's supposed to be pretty decent. I was kind of hoping that even this twin motor version would get closer to 300 because more and more EVs are doing that, and 300 miles kind of feels like table stakes for most Americans these days. But you know, it's efficient enough that maybe you can stretch a little bit more. And if you really want the range, you really want this car, again, probably that single motor version is going to be the one worth waiting for. Let's take it for a spin and see how it does. I first saw it at an event in New York City a couple of years ago, and I was covering the reveal for the publication TechCrunch, and I oohed and awed over it. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool, this is so clever, it's so innovative. And it was so neat to see all the different ways that they had simplified the hell out of this car to get that cost down. But you know, seeing the car at a show and kind of playing with it and being impressed by it and actually living with it, actually living with that level of simplicity for the controls are two very different things. There are ways it feels kind of cheap, like it's loud for an EV. You get a lot of road noise, you get a lot of wind noise in it, and that reminds me of the last Tesla Model 3 I drove. Again, it's actually a car I really like driving, but like that car sometimes doesn't know whether it wants to be a BMW 3 Series or a Toyota Corolla. And this one, you know, as cute and clever and well thought out as it is, it does have that kind of Corolla-y vibes. And again, that might be fine for $35,000 if you're getting, you know, a decent range electric vehicle with good performance for cheap. But, you know, this car's almost 50 grand, and it just kind of has too much of that economy car vibe, that cheapness to me in the overall experience to really justify that price tag. At 400 horsepower, this is, in twin motor form, supposedly Volvo's fastest car ever. All EVs are fast. I mean, we covered this in our Dodge Charger review a little bit. Like, that thing's fun, but it's like, speed alone isn't really, you know, a decisive factor for electric vehicles. They all offer better performance than gas ones do. Like, this thing is definitely quick when you get on it. It's not like immediately so, but once it gets going, it'll definitely move. Once it uncorks the full thrust of those electric motors, and that 400 horsepower, you really do start to feel it. However, the car kind of falls down in other ways. I don't think it's that great a handler. It's a little loose and sloppy on the road, and again, the ride's not the best. It's definitely not a suspension tuned for sporty driving. The brakes are just okay, so you get a lot of speed, but not a lot to back it up, honestly. There are some upsides to this thing, of course. Like, I really like the central software system, and it's a Google automotive system that deeply integrates the Google ecosystem into your car, and that means Google Maps is built in, integration with your smartphone, native apps like Spotify. You can download those from the Google App Store once you log in. Like, it's pretty fast and seamless, and it works really well. I'm an Apple user personally, and my Apple phone works remarkably well with this system. And I think that the voice assistant's excellent too, because it runs Google searches. It's pretty useful, honestly. It's Google, so you can kind of ask it anything you want, and I take advantage of this a lot when I'm bored when I'm driving. Who won the Knicks game last night? What happened with all of 50 Cent's legal problems? What is Congress going to do with the EV tax credit? What was the primary cause of World War I? Why did the new Marvel movie get delayed? How do I turn the high beams on a Volvo EX30?
Push the left-hand stalk to turn manual high beam on. Pull the left-hand stalk fully to turn high beam off. A short pull of the stalk activates the high beam flash.
Technology. Now, a lot of cars have native voice assistants, and they're getting better and better. Like, my Kia has excellent voice controls, but this one is dialed directly into Google, right? So you can do stuff like that and run effectively like voice-based Google searches for information. And I'd say probably most EVs can't do that. Most cars can't do that. But that's one advantage to the native Google system here. And it's a big plus in my book for this car. Again, my story is I plunked down $500 of my own money, by the way, not some journalist, press car deal or anything. It was, you know, I was going to buy this car, and then it got delayed, and then I ended up pulling that deposit back, and then they announced that they were going to kind of reconfigure this car in light of the tariff situation. And I ended up buying a Kia EV6 instead. I got a really good lease deal on that, as many people do, but like the sticker on the Kia EV6 ended up being close to this thing. It was around 50 grand. And in the retrospect, I'm really glad I didn't buy this thing, because I've been in it the last couple days and I don't love it. And I miss being in my Kia, which is a bigger car, but it's also like nicer, and I think it handles better, and it's more premium. It doesn't have this much noise in it. But again, I'm judging the Volvo EX30 based on this almost 50 grand twin motor price. Volvo says that the single motor version is coming to America later this year, and they are moving production of the car to Europe, to Belgium, which was in theory supposed to take care of the tariff problem, except now President Trump might hit European Union exports with even more tariffs. So I don't know what that's going to do to the price of that car. And again, this thing just can't catch a break. There's a lot with this car that I'd be willing to forgive if it costs in the mid $30,000 range. And if you add in EV tax credits for leasing, which may or may not survive the next few months, you're looking at leasing a car in like the high $20,000 range. If you get this for the high 20s, that's a hell of a deal. New, that's really impressive. But that's all TBD, and we're going to see how it works out. In the meantime, the most expensive EX30 like we're in now just kind of doesn't do it for me. All right, so what did I think of the Volvo EX30? Well, in the end, it's got its shortcomings, but there's a lot on this car that I could forgive if it costs $35,000. Right now, this version, well, it's a lot more than that. I'm really hoping that Volvo can find some way to bring that version of the car that we were promised to America. They're going to make it in Europe next, and if that gets tariffs too, that might also be more expensive. But if this thing really is 35 grand or around there, it could be a real hit in America, just like it's been in other places. For now, I'm not exactly sold on the twin motor performance Volvo EX30, but we'll see what happens. For InsideEVs, I'm Patrick George.